cutting out the cooling outlets, and while I'm here, I'm going to cut out the fuel outlet. Just got my soldering iron heated up. It's up to about 320 degrees. Pick that because that's what it was set to. So we've got three options for the outlets here. I'm going to run it to the side because I've got half a feeling I might put cans in this eventually. That's done. Now we're going to... And there we go. It's nice because it seals the edge on. It's not going to come out. Might not have been the prettiest there. Clean that up. And then we get this nice cooling effect out here. I'm going to run that as well as the low pressure at the cowl, and hopefully this engine will stay nice and cool. So having a look at the engine now. Throttle servos in. Just got one of the brushed FR Sky servos. They've worked really well for me. Something that works out really nice is the standard included daily standoffs, so just about the perfect length. I've just snuck a washer in behind them, and yeah, the cowl gap looks like it's going to be fine. As often is the case, I've just had to spin around the carburetor, and also I've had to turn around the fuel inlet. To do this, you just get a pair of parallel pliers and just carefully twist it around to the direction you want. So now the fuel line is going to come through this little rubber grommet here, which is nice, and then I'll probably put just a little clamp there to hold the fuel line in place. Anyways, really happy with how this is going. I've already done the ignition, but I'll when I flip the plane over again, we'll have a look at how I've laid that all out. So air outlets in, get the fuel overflow. So it's just see that bit of fuel line, nice little guide holes there for them. Fuel line to the carb is done. I like to just slip a bit of hose over the top. It's a bit of extra security. I'm just gonna use one of those fuel hose retainers just to hold it there. I'm sure it won't matter, but I'm always worried about hoses rubbing through. And I guess I'd better start looking at that throttle linkage. So that's next on the list. So fuel system's done. Got my overflow loop there. Nothing complicated. I've just run a bit of hard line through the hose in the tank. It's just in the middle there. It's kind of hard to see in video, but that's nice and stiff, won't be going anywhere. Clunks at the right length. It's just short of this dimple here, so it hopefully can't get held up on anything. Using the fuel hose tidies. Filler line, I leave plenty of slack on that because you're going to have to pull this out. And I also like having a filter on the fill line. These can't remember what brand they are, DA sell them, but they're really nice fine particle filters, so nothing dirty gets in there. Same, I've just got a bit of hose slipped over the top of these as security. I don't bother with it here because these barbs are actually quite oversized for this. But yeah, it's all pretty simple. See the main fuel hose to the engine just running through there, through that little grommet down the bottom. It's really neat, really happy with that. And yeah, it's getting real close to putting a propeller on this thing and starting it. Oh, while we're here, so I'm not quite finished up here yet, but I use this trunking. Somebody, Tim, told me that's what it's called. Little cable tie at each end just to hold it neat. Gives your ignition leads a bit of protection, and it looks prettier than this stuff, even though I use this anyway. Just got my little temp sensor mounted there. It's not the ideal spot. The leads on these temperature probes are too short, and I'm actually planning on buying that American system which allows you to have the probe under the plug, so that's kind of a bit of a temporary solution at the moment. I'm also waiting on my Zavionics RPM sensor, so I won't have RPM data yet. So you can see down here, cable management needs to be sorted, but it's designed now so the ignition module mounts to the floor down there. I've just got it on some Velcro. That's a lot easier than having it on this. Just means, you know, getting in there is easier. It was a real pain when you used to mount them under here, because then every time you take this off you had to manage all the leads. But yeah, nothing real complicated going on there. My engine bolts ended up a bit longer than they needed to be. Clearly got to do that one up. That's a bit loose. But yeah, this has been the fastest model I've ever put together. So after a bit of fiddling, I've managed to come up with a reasonable solution using the included hardware. I'm actually going to have to just remove a tiny bit of that servo arm. Not quite enough clearance there. I think that's basically shut off idle anyway. But I'm using all the resolution of the servo. I'm using just some of those little flange spacers just to give clearance at both ends. This end's designed for M3 hardware. I don't have an M3 push rod that would suit, so I've stuck to the M2 stuff for now. I am pretty happy with this though. I often like to get the servo lower, so if I did want to do that I could put the servo on the other side of the tray, but access to get those screws in is a bit of a pain, so I think I'm just going to settle for this. But yeah, I've got a nice full resolution setup going on and pretty happy with it. And another thing while you're working on the engine, normally in here is a little idle set screw. You're going to want to pull that out and throw it in the bin. It's just a recipe for disaster, not something we need. Our nice stiff throttle geometry is what's going to dictate our idle. It's ready to start cutting some cowl out. And my initial plan with this was to run canisters, but I've got no idea when they're going to arrive, and I'm just too impatient, so decided just to put the dumpers on for now. May end up with some holes to patch up, but oh well. Show my technique here. I just, with the cowl off, just mark out this masking tape, pull it over the mufflers, fold it back, slip the cowl on. Gives me a rough idea. It's nice and easy with these slip-on style ones, because you can actually leave the mufflers in there. So what I'll do now is cut these out. This should be a bit undersized to the final hole size. Slip the cowl back on, and then I'll be able to mark out the adjustments I need to do. And then should be sweet. So while I'm at it, I'm actually going to cut out this here. Just planning to run this and this, same as I've got on my 91 inch light NG, and cooling shouldn't be a problem. The cowl's on, just doing finishing touches now. One thing I do is mark these bolts. Makes it easy, pop the spinner off and just make sure nothing's moved. I prefer that to over torquing them, and because I'm just about to throw the spinner on, I have chucked a little bit of the 222 Loctite in all these holes, and we should be good to go.